Welcome back everyone, this is MandoAllDay, back with another video, and in this video, I'll be doing an overview of the Absolute Edition of Flashpoint. I'll be talking about a little bit of the story, the art, and of course, everything worth your purchase. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the support channel, to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So, let's take a look in front of the slipcase, the spine, the back, which is the same art, front of the book, the spine, the back, and I'll do a full print image. You guys can see that, which is a really cool image. Alright, now let's take a look at what's inside. So what is this book about? So the book starts off with Barry Allen is at work sleeping, and his co-workers wake him up and they kind of start talking to him, but he notices something is off with his co-worker. Something is a little different. So while he's talking to his co-workers, he hears on the radio of a gunfire between the cops and certain people, which I'm not going to say who because it'll spoil some things on here. So Barry does what he usually does, goes out and runs to go help out. When he does that, he stumbles and he sees his mother. And he's like, wait a minute, you're alive. Like, what how is that possible? And for those of you who don't know, when Barry Allen was a child, his mom got killed by a mysterious, I don't want to say too much, we'll give it away. But his mom got killed, so he's kind of like, wait a minute, how are you alive? You know, you're supposed to be dead and so forth. As the story progresses, he goes out and tries to meet with Iris, and when he does meet up with Iris, she's actually married to someone else. So Barry knows, okay, something is off, something is different. One, my mother's alive. Two, Iris is married to someone else. What the heck is going on? So he decides to go out and find out the one person who can help him out, and that's going to be Batman. And he goes out and meets Batman, and when he meets Batman, he notices something else is different with Batman, and that it's not the typical Batman that we know. It's Thomas Wayne, which I'll talk about that in a bit. And that's mainly the gist of the story, essentially Flash trying to figure out what's going on, why is everything so different, but more importantly, trying to help out Batman and Cyborg with this big war occurring at the same time with the Atlanteans and Amazonians. So Barry Allen's trying to do two things at the same time, and that is the main gist of the story, him figuring out what's going on, but more importantly, what can he do to fix and help not only Cyborg and Batman, but more importantly, fix what started and how to get back to his world. And I can't say too much because it does collect only 5 issues, and Flashpoint is a short 5-issue story. But for the most part, though, I gotta say, I like this story. This is a really good story. Now, I'll break it down what I like about it, or I'll break it down like this. In terms of the story itself of Flashpoint, it's good. It's not great. I'll be honest with you. I really enjoyed it. But what I really enjoyed it the most is going to be the concept of the whole Flashpoint universe. Because in this universe, there's a lot of things are different. They're not your normal things. For instance, when he meets up with Batman, he notices it's actually Thomas Wayne. And in this universe, things are, I guess you can say, the opposite. And what I mean by that is, for instance, it's Thomas Wayne, and in this universe, Bruce Wayne ends up being killed instead of his parents. In this universe, there are no lanterns. There is no Superman alive. Obviously, the Atlanteans and Amazonians are at war with each other. Certain villains, which I'm not going to say because I'll spoil it, are heroes, and certain heroes are villains. So, in this universe, in terms of what's going on here, it's really fun. It's super creative, and that's what hooked me into this. Just seeing the creativity, seeing like what do the writers do, which character did they twist and turn, and that's the fun part. Especially with Batman, because as we know, Batman doesn't use guns, but more importantly, Batman does not kill. In this universe, heck no, that is the complete opposite of that. And it's really interesting to me just seeing, like I said, all those characters being twisted and turned and so forth. But the story, like I said, it's good. The concept is great. The pacing of it, I would say, is between average to above average. There are some short moments where it does dip below the average, but for the most part, I would say between average and above average. The art is just top notch, man. I love this art. The art is one of my favorite on here, and I'm so glad I got it in this edition, because with the paper quality, the glossy paper, and this fantastic art, the colors just pop and they look amazing, man. Really love the art on here. And for those of you who don't know about Flashpoint, why it's so important, is after the consequence of this book and what happens at the end, shortly after this is what kicks off the DC New 52 era. So this is a very important story. So if you're a DC fan, especially in the comics, definitely recommend reading it, because after reading this, you'll know what's kind of kicked off the New 52 era. And if you don't know what that means, essentially what it is this DC wanted to kind of retell or reboot their comics, and so they created the New 52, and this is the book that kind of launched that off. But overall, though, would I recommend it? This is easily a thumbs up for me, man. Like I said, the art is fantastic. The pacing, it is good. The story itself, it's good, not great, but the concept and everything about it is just really, really good. And of course, this thing has such importance within the comics of DC. This is easily a must-buy, a must-read in my honest opinion. It's a lot of fun, and I really, really dig it. Now, I will say this, though. I'll kind of give you some advice. If you read this omnibus already, if you read the Flashpoint story and you're hooked and you want to read more about it, definitely recommend getting the omnibus version, which is this very thin, very thin book on here. This has I think 200 pages. This one has 1,500 plus pages, so it's quite a big, quite a lot of stories on here. But the main difference is, one, this one has a Flashpoint. Basically, all the story that's in here, it's also present in Omnibus, but more importantly, this has the tie-ins and the one-shots of this Flashpoint universe. So, if you like the whole Flashpoint universe and you want to know more about it, more of Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, what led up to the army, where are the Lanterns, Superman, Lois Lane, Wildcats, all these characters, if you want to know more about it, definitely recommend getting this Omnibus. It is pretty thick, just be wary of that. There's a lot of stories on here. But if you're really invested in the story and you want to know more about it, definitely recommend getting the Omnibus, because you'll know a lot more what's going on here. It does connect and tie in all these other characters and villains all into leading up to what's in here. And to me, definitely worth reading it. But if you read this, the Flashpoint story, and you're not really into the whole universe, then just get the story itself, though. But like I said, though, to answer the question, would I recommend it? Would I recommend getting the Flashpoint Absolute? Easily a thumbs up for me. I already said it, and I'm going to say it again very quickly. Art's good. Story's good. Pacing is good. Definitely recommend getting it. Let me know what you guys think. Have you read this book? Do you plan on reading this book? Leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure to hit the subscribe button to not support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. That includes an overview of the Absolute Flashpoint, and on to the next one.